The recent announcement from the United States Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation has reignited public debate surrounding the case of Jeffrey Epstein. According to a newly released two-page memo, both agencies have concluded that Epstein did not possess a so-called client list implicating high-profile associates, and further confirmed that he passed away by his own hand while awaiting trial in federal custody. Despite official statements from the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation stating that no incriminating list exists, a large portion of the public remains unconvinced. Rumors have long circulated that this elusive document contains the names of high-ranking individuals from some of the most influential sectors of society, including celebrities, bankers, government officials, and even members of royalty. The idea that such a list exists and is being deliberately hidden has become central to many people's understanding of the case. According to numerous insiders and alleged whistleblowers, the list was not only real, but its contents were so sensitive that it posed a threat to some of the most established figures in global power structures. These individuals, it is believed, would have the means and the motivation to ensure that the list never sees the light of day. For many, this explains the silence from certain institutions and the cautious handling of disclosures tied to the case. What fuels this belief even further is the pattern of secrecy and delay that has accompanied every stage of the investigation. From his initial conviction to his later arrest and eventual passing, the lack of transparency has created an atmosphere of suspicion. Even when documents have been released, critics argue they often contain heavily redacted sections or reveal nothing that hadn't already been publicly known. This selective disclosure has left many wondering what is being withheld and why. Supporters of this theory argue that if the list did in fact contain the names of influential public figures, there would be enormous pressure on investigators and officials to protect them. Such individuals could include politicians with long careers, international royalty with diplomatic influence, financial leaders with ties to major institutions, and celebrities with widespread public support. The release of such names could shake public trust, damage alliances, and lead to countless legal battles. In light of that, it's understandable why some would believe that the full truth may never be made available. The silence from those who were known to be close to Epstein also adds fuel to this speculation. While many of his former associates have issued statements distancing themselves, few have faced legal scrutiny or been compelled to answer difficult questions. This has led many to believe that certain individuals were shielded, perhaps not by coincidence, but by design. In the absence of a full disclosure, speculation continues to grow. For many, the case represents more than a single scandal. It's a symbol of how deeply power and privilege can influence the systems that are meant to uphold justice. This official statement aims to address years of speculation and rumors that have surrounded Epstein's case since his passing in the summer of 2019. Epstein's notoriety began well before his 2019 detention, stemming from his earlier conviction in the mid-2000s. Despite this, Epstein remained a figure of influence and wealth, with powerful connections spanning politics, business, and entertainment. When he was arrested again in 2019 on new charges, public interest in his case soared. However, following his sudden passing in a New York prison cell, many were unwilling to accept the official explanation without scrutiny. The newly released memo from the Department of Justice and FBI comes at a time when political tensions remain high. During his campaign in the previous year, former President Trump had pledged to release all files related to Epstein's activities. His statements gained considerable traction, particularly among supporters of the Make America Great Again movement, who believed that explosive revelations were imminent. But since returning to office in January of the current year, many of those same supporters have expressed frustration over the perceived lack of progress in revealing new details. The memo from investigators flatly denies the existence of an incriminating client list. It also states that there is no credible evidence to suggest that Epstein engaged in a blackmail scheme targeting influential individuals. In support of the official narrative, footage was released which, according to investigators, aligns with the findings of the medical examiner, who initially concluded that Epstein's passing was not the result of foul play. This stance contradicts a widely circulated theory that Epstein was silenced to protect elite figures allegedly connected to his criminal activities. For years, such beliefs have persisted online and in public discourse, with many speculating that powerful individuals feared exposure. Some researchers suggested that there had been a deliberate effort to prevent him from testifying or revealing names. Now, however, top officials, including FBI Director Kash Patel and his deputy Dan Bongino, both of whom once expressed skepticism, have stated they accept the conclusion reached by investigators. The response to the memo has been mixed. Among some supporters of President Trump, there remains a strong sense of disappointment. Rogan O'Handley referred to the findings as a cover-up, suggesting that the investigation failed to deliver the accountability many hoped for. Others pointed to prior remarks made by Attorney General Pam Bondi as a source of confusion. In a televised interview on Fox News earlier this year, Bondi hinted that she had files on her desk linked to Epstein's case, sparking renewed speculation about the possible existence of further evidence. When asked for clarification, White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt stated that Bondi had been referring to the broader collection of case-related files, not a specific list of names. That explanation did little to assuage critics who had anticipated the release of entirely new information. In particular, conservative lawmaker Anna Paulina Luna expressed dismay, describing the administration's release of previously available documents as disappointing and lacking substance. Following the memo's publication, Bondi made further statements to reporters at the White House, asserting that many files related to the investigation remained inaccessible. She alleged that thousands of documents were being withheld and suggested that tens of thousands of videos were still under review by federal authorities. Although she did not provide details about the contents of these videos, her remarks renewed concern about the scale and sensitivity of the material. The White House later clarified that some files were being withheld due to their distressing content. It emphasized that while public interest in the case remains high, any future disclosures would need to be handled with great caution and within legal boundaries. This response has led some to question whether transparency is being prioritized or whether efforts are being made to shield certain individuals from scrutiny. Adding another layer of tension to the debate, a public disagreement emerged between President Trump and tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. In a now-deleted post, Musk claimed that Trump was somehow linked to unreleased files related to the case. The accusation, made without supporting evidence, was swiftly dismissed by the White House. Musk later acknowledged that he had taken his comments too far and expressed regret over the exchange, but the controversy added fuel to an already polarizing issue. The case continues to be a lightning rod for controversy, not just because of its legal implications, but because it taps into broader concerns about transparency, elite privilege, and justice. The notion that someone with so many powerful friends could engage in harmful activity without consequence has deeply unsettled public trust in institutions. Even with the recent findings from federal investigators, there remains a sense among many that not all questions have been answered. Ultimately, the memo issued by the Department of Justice and the FBI appears to mark a formal closure on one of the most scrutinized elements of the saga. By concluding that there is no client list and no credible evidence of blackmail, the agencies hope to quell the speculation that has surrounded the case for years. However, given the magnitude of the allegations and the high-profile nature of Epstein's associations, it is unlikely that public interest in the case will fade anytime soon. While the federal government has reaffirmed its official position, there are still those who will continue to question and investigate independently. In an age where information is disseminated rapidly and theories are often formed in the court of public opinion, the case serves as a reminder of how difficult it is to separate fact from suspicion. Whether the public accepts the findings or continues to demand deeper accountability, the story of Epstein and the shadow it casts over powerful circles will likely endure for years to come. There are also questions surrounding the timing of key decisions and public statements. The Department of Justice's conclusion that there was no client list and no evidence of blackmail came at a time when calls for full transparency were at their loudest. For those who have followed the case closely, the abrupt closure of investigative threads, combined with vague language in official memos, feels like an intentional effort to redirect attention away from what may lie beneath the surface. When influential commentators, whistleblowers, and even some former insiders express doubts, the credibility of the official narrative only weakens further. Many observers also note the sheer scale of his network. His ties stretched across continents, spanning various industries including politics, science, business, and entertainment. He owned multiple lavish properties, had access to private aircraft, and often hosted gatherings that drew in world leaders and celebrities. To suggest that this network operated without any high-profile individuals being aware of or involved in wrongdoing seems improbable to many. If even a fraction of the rumors surrounding his guest lists and travel logs are accurate, it would mean that some of the most recognizable names in the world may have at least witnessed inappropriate behavior, if not engaged in it directly.